The following is an Operation Podcast production.
The products we use on our skin matter. It is our largest detox organ. So not only do we absorb things through the skin, but we eliminate through the skin as well. We cannot separate the health of our skin from the health of our whole body. I think that's where a lot of skincare companies go wrong. They sell products that treat specific conditions in the skin, but maybe they also have chemicals that disrupt the microbiome of the skin, or are hormone disrupting or cancer causing.
If you could call out skincare, personal care industries, what would you say to them? Do you think real change is even possible?
I think change needs to come from two levels. Hi, my name is Bethany McDaniel, and I am the founder of Primally Pure. I'm so excited to get into this chat on Ever Forward Radio, where we are going to talk all about non-toxic skincare, but also just the state of health in the world that we live in, the products we're exposed to, the foods that we eat, our lifestyle, and why all of that matters.
Bethany, if you could boil down your mission and even your current philosophy regarding healthy living through cleaner, everyday products into a warning for other people, what would it be and why?
I would say that the products we use on our skin matter. We absorb things through our skin. This is well known within the medical community. There are certain drugs that are administered through the skin. It is our largest detox organ. So not only do we absorb things through the skin, but we eliminate through the skin as well. And so we cannot separate the health of our skin from the health of our whole body. I think that's where a lot of skincare companies go wrong. They sell products that treat specific conditions in the skin, but maybe they also have chemicals that disrupt the microbiome of the skin, or are hormone disrupting or cancer causing. And I just like to look at it from a more holistic perspective of treating the skin like the organ that it is, and not separating it or thinking that we can separate it from the health of the body as a whole, and it's also one part of it. It's like, that's why at Primally Pure, we love to educate on not just skincare, but healthy living as well, because the health of our body in general is going to be reflected in the health of our skin, and what we put on our skin matters, what we eat matters, our sleep matters, our lifestyle matters. It all matters if we want to have healthy, glowing skin.
Mm-hmm. If you could call out we'll say the home goods and skincare, personal care industries, what would you say to them? And more importantly, do you think anyone would actually listen? Do you think real change is even possible?
I think change needs to come from two levels. I think there does need to be more accountability on the part of these companies that are selling products with ingredients that we know for a fact. I mean, a lot of them haven't even been tested. And the ones that have been tested, a lot of these chemicals are known to be cancer causing, known to be hormone disrupting, but their companies are still allowed to use them in America. A lot of them are banned in Europe, but not in America. And so I think there needs to be more accountability for these companies that are allowed to sell products made with really toxic ingredients, but then there also needs to be more awareness from the consumer standpoint of the fact that not everything sold to us on store shelves is safe. In fact, a lot of it is not. And so I think people need to have more personal responsibility in this regard and understand the toxic soup that we're living in, and the fact that this is something we can control. There's a lot of things we can't control, but the products we use, we do have a say in that. And so I think from a consumer level, there needs to be more awareness and personal responsibility. And then also, it's just not easy for us to always know. And so I think there needs to be more accountability for the companies that are selling these things.
Yeah, you bring up two really important kind of silos here of what we're talking about. There are the creators, the manufacturers, the distributors, the people that make these products and those governing bodies. And then there's the consumer. And I always kind of struggle with this aspect beyond just like personal care, but, nutrition, a box of cereal or an apple, or, sitting on the couch, watching Netflix, or going on a walk or going to the gym. Ultimately, I think it does come down to the choice of the consumer, especially if no one's holding a gun to your head, so to say, of making this choice or that choice. People can make whatever they want, right? Businesses can create whatever they want, product, service, and then it's up to us to choose to consume it, quite literally, in our bodies or through our minds. So then how do we really know which silo to go after? Is it more so the consumer, because ultimately they're the one, we are the ones making the choice, or are we just being so misguided and so much misinformation and clever marketing that, even if we choose to try to make the smart choice, we're not really making the best option for us?
Yeah, that's a great thought. I think for me, I like to focus on empowering the consumer, because that's just, I like connecting with people. I like sharing this information. As a company, like, we are not just about selling products. We've always been about also providing the education, because like I said, like, your health is not just about the products that you use. Like, if someone has acne or if someone has eczema, they could be using the best, most clean, effective skincare products in the world. It may not change anything for them because they're not addressing, their gut or whatever issue is contributing.
Stuff,
yeah. So it has to be both, like the products and the education. And so I think empowering the consumer to make better choices is the best path forward that I know of. However, I think about like my journey and myself as a teenager. When I started getting acne, I was like 14, and I didn't really have like the means to go figure out how to best treat my acne from a holistic perspective. Like, so I think about like kids, and I feel like kids are the most impacted negatively. Mm-hmm. They don't really have a choice at that point. It's just kind of whatever
your
their parents are doing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's even more important for parents to have agency and like responsibility and really take that seriously when thinking about the products that they're using on themselves, on their kids, the foods that they're eating, the foods that they're feeding to their kids. But yeah, for the parents or for the kids of the parents that aren't like thinking about that, I feel like they are the ones who are the most vulnerable. And in that regard, it's sad that they are unknowingly using these products and eating foods that are elevating their toxic load in their body, and they don't really have a choice in it. Yeah. So yeah, I think, but yeah, I think when it comes down to it, like for me, I think empowering people, empowering moms to make the best choices they can is where I tend to focus.
You mentioned clean. I've mentioned clean a few times, and I think clean is one of the most cleverly used terms, especially when it comes to home cleaning products, skincare products, personal care products, because really anyone can just say clean, right? Mm-hmm. This is a clean product. To my knowledge, there is no governing body deciding to what level you can or cannot use clean when talking about or marketing or even creating something that you're going to be absorbing and or digesting. And so my question around that is, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have around, quote, clean products?
Yeah, I mean, there is so much greenwashing now. When I started doing this, I started experimenting with natural products maybe like 12, 13 years ago, and officially started Primally Pure 10 years ago. And non-toxic products were not as trendy then as they are now. And it's great that this movement has picked up momentum, but it's also causing more confusion for people because companies know that that's what people want, and they will slap anything on their product to give people the impression that it's cleaner than it actually is. So the word clean or the word natural or non-toxic, no one is regulating these terms. They
really, even non-toxic?
Even non-toxic. Wow. Anyone can put that on there. Or like we see a lot, made with coconut oil, and maybe coconut oil is like the 12th ingredient listed under all of these chemicals, and ingredients are listed on the back of labels in order of greatest to least. So there's so many little tricks and gimmicks. Even dermatologist tested is one that I see a lot.
Yeah.
That literally just means that a dermatologist swabbed it on their skin.
And no allergic significant reaction.
Yeah,
happened,
I mean, and I don't even know if they're regulating whether there was an reaction. It's literally just that the dermatologist tested it. And so, yeah, a lot of confusion out there for sure. And I think it is surprising for people when not only when they find out that like the products that they have been sold and used are not safe, but also the products that like seem really clean. A lot of those are not safe as well.
I remember years ago, right around probably 2008-ish, when I was going through my injury recovery time from the military, I was literally just at home for months. And I began to dive into a lot of health, wellness, and the whole green concept was very trendy back then. I think this was like 2008-ish, 2009, maybe 2008. And I remember latching onto this concept that really hit home for me. And that was clean doesn't have a smell. And I just kind of sat back and I was like, yeah, like I'm using this cleaning product or using this face wash or body wash or whatever. And it's like zesty pine or I keep going like Pine Mountain or whatever. It's some like overly abundant smell. I'm like, this is really just masking. And then when I started switching to a lot of, that non-toxic, all natural cleaning products, or even making some of my own, actually, I was like, everything's clean, but there's no smell. And so I think the whole aspect of clean having a smell is one of the biggest misconceptions people have. Would you agree?
So much marketing with that.
Clean doesn't have a smell.
It's like all the Febreze commercials. Like you need this like crazy intense fragrance to make you think that your house is now clean or whatever. That was like a big marketing push, I think, for a while that I think is starting to fizzle out. I mean, we know so much more about fragrance now. It is a blanket term. It's protected by the FDA as a trade secret, so companies don't have to disclose what's actually in their fragrance. But it can contain thousands of different chemicals. And the EPA did a study on the ingredients in fragrance and found that 72% of what's in fragrance are phthalates, which are hormone disrupting chemicals. Wow. Phthalates are what makes scents stick.
Yeah.
So that's why when you walk into a house that maybe has a lot of candles or Glade plugins, like even if you remove that house is still going to smell like those products for weeks, months. I mean, unless you do some intense stuff to get rid of that, the phthalates really just drive those scents into like fabrics and surfaces of all kinds.
So we talked about a couple of products already, but I want to kind of bring my audience's attention to a couple key products that you think might be in everyone's home that we should really be bringing our biggest attention to first and foremost. So if you could raise awareness to 3 products that you think most people use most days, what would they be and why?
Deodorant, for sure, I think is the number one thing. I always encourage people, if you are new to non-toxic living, start with deodorant. It's problematic for a lot of reasons. Antiperspirants, just the idea that we want to prevent our body from sweating is problematic. Sweating is such an important way that our body gets rid of toxins. We don't want to get in the way of that process. So traditional antiperspirants have aluminum, which is a heavy metal. It's been linked to Alzheimer's disease. And it actually blocks your pores. So it stops you from sweating, which is not good. It's not what we want.
That's what makes the difference between antiperspirant versus deodorant, right? Because we have antiperspirants and deodorant, and then we have just deodorant.
Right.
The aluminum part is what makes the antiperspirant. It blocks the pores so you don't sweat.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So not only are you putting harmful chemicals into your underarms, not to mention parabens. There was a study done that found in 98% of breast cancer tumors that were sampled, 98% had parabens in them. So, and then fragrance is in most antiperspirants and deodorants. Wow. And so not only are we blocking the pores, but we're putting all of this junk into such a sensitive area of the body, close to so many lymph nodes and breast tissue. And then we're not letting anything detox in the way it was meant to. So I would encourage anyone who is new to non-toxic living, start with deodorant. Let that be your first swap. You will be extra sweaty, extra smelly for a little while because your body's purging. It's getting rid of all that stuff. But then it will normalize. And a lot of our customers say, like, I've been using your deodorant for months now, and I actually find that I smell less, I sweat less than I ever did before. So
really, so you just need to kind of bust through a little
and you'll sweat,
trial and error time,
and you'll always sweat, but not as much as in that beginning like purging phase.
Okay.
Yeah, I think anything that covers a lot of surface area on the body is really important too. So like I think about the lotions that I used all throughout my life, really, but especially like junior high, high school. Bath and Body Works had a big moment.
Oh my God!
Everyone was using it. That was
the
like
lotions,
the Christmas
the candles,
gift. Yes,
yeah.
That was like the Christmas gift that my friends and I would always get for each other.
I cannot walk in still, even back in high school. It's still today. I cannot walk in, even buy a Bath and Body Works without getting a headache.
Yeah. I know. And then like Hollister, Abercrombie, those stores back in the day.
They were pumping it out through the vents.
So bad.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't think they're doing that anymore. But
no, for a lot
Bath
of other
Body
reasons.
Works is still, exactly.
Yeah, they got caught with some other things.
Yes,
but scent being the least of their concerns. But
so true.
So deodorant's kind of being the first and foremost.
Yeah, deodorant I would say is number one, and then any like lotions, things that cover so much surface area, I think are important to swap. And you know, we have body butters that also smell great, but we scent them with natural essential oils. And our body butter is made with tallow from grass-fed cows.
What can't you do with beef tallow these days?
Nothing. I mean,
I keep hearing more and more about it. Yeah.
It's funny because when I started my company, no one was talking about beef tallow, but I knew about it and I was interested in this ingredient because my family had a regenerative farm and a regenerative livestock farm. And so I thought it was like this amazing ingredient. It's an ingredient that stood the test of time. Our ancestors used it. It's
from the marrow, isn't it? Bone marrow?
No, it's the fat. It's the suet.
Excuse me.
It's the like most pure fat from the cow that is melted and rendered, and the impurities are like sifted and separated from the pure oil, and then it solidifies and becomes a tallow that you can use in skincare products and candles and for cooking. It's really amazing. It's very biocompatible with the skin. It's very similar to the skin's own sebum. Tallow actually means sebum in Latin. And it's this incredible ingredient. So I was like so excited about it. But then I also thought, are people going to get this? Like, I don't know. This may be too much. This was back in 2015 when I started my company.
Early.
Yeah. And vegan skincare was so big at the time. But I decided to do it, to go with it, and just provided like a lot of education for people. Like, this is what it actually is. We're not like killing animals just to get the tallow, which is a kind of a misconception that some people have. Like,
it's like, where does this come from? How do you get it?
It's like really, we're using all of the animal like our ancestors did. It's like having a nose to tail philosophy and recognizing that every part of that animal has a purpose. And so I think it's like a really beautiful ingredient story, and decided to use it in our products, and could never have predicted that now it's become like so popular and trendy in our culture.
I know. Yeah, this is all top of mind for me. I just recently started watching Yellow Jackets. Have you seen that show?
No.
Okay, well, not to derail too much, but it's like, imagine soccer sorority meets Lord of the Flies mixed with Lost kind of thing. I
watched Lost.
It's like survival out there in the wilderness, and they're using, well, I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but they're using everything they kill. So we talked about deodorants, and then really anything you're kind of covering head to toe with your bodies. Yeah. Is there a third product that you think we should bring immediate awareness to?
Yes. I mean, there's so many. I'll go outside of skincare for a minute. I think cleaning products are really important. I'm a big fan of Branch Basics products. But if you think about when you're in the store and you walk through the cleaning aisle, you are smelling all of those products. And they're in the package. So it's like these VOCs, they permeate the air around us when we use them, but also just when they're in our home. So you're creating such a toxic environment in your home with these toxic cleaning products. And then we're told that we need, a toilet cleaner, a separate cleaner for your windows, and a separate thing for like wiping surfaces. All of that is marketing gimmicks. Like,
to get you to buy all these different products.
There are not like a cleaner is a cleaner. Like Branch Basics, it's a surfactant, a basic surfactant. The same thing can be used in different concentrations to clean any part of the home. So I know I sound like a Branch Basics ad right now, but you can also use like vinegar and water. It would be better than
you can do a lot with baking soda.
Exactly,
mixed with a lot of different things.
That's one thing. You can find a lot of DIY recipes online for cleaning products to clean like anything in your home, and it's going to be better than the majority of products that you'll find on stores.
Yeah, I got turned on to this brand called Shackley. Have you heard of them? Years ago. It's they do a lot of different products, but I found in my green era back in 2008, I found their cleaning line, and it's one super high concentrated, I think a surfactant product that you use for like, one dose is like for all purpose, a higher dose or measurement is for like grease and oil stains, and a third is like for windows and stuff.
Yeah.
But and I've literally had the same bottle of concentrate for years.
Wow.
Years. And you just dilute it with like, purified water.
Totally.
It's like 1/4 teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon, and it lasts forever. And I haven't tried this, but actually technically you could like eat it, consume it, and it's totally fine. It's all like organic compounds.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, like, if you really follow the dollars, really. What are you being marketed? What are you being sold? And what actually end result is happening in your life?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it applies on so many levels. I mean, for me, like, it started with food and evaluating, okay, what have I been eating most of my life, which was processed foods, and then switching to real foods and finding that I felt so much better, and the acne that I had always dealt with started clearing up. And then that led me to like this journey of what else have I gotten wrong and what else have I been like misled to believe that's actually
what else
not
is
true.
a lie?
Yeah. Once you like see it, it's like you start to see it in everything.
You can't unsee it.
No.
There's no unlearning.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's no unknowing, I should say. There's definitely a level of unlearning.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to get more into your backstory here shortly, but I want to just keep us locked in on, okay, I'm bringing attention and awareness to what I'm putting on my body, in my body, and kind of just getting the listener involved more in scanning in their homes. Because I think certain areas of our homes probably we could bring more awareness to first. Maybe an area where we keep cleaning products or skincare products. And so I want to just have you kind of walk us through someone who's listening right now that wants to take action by starting with one room in their home. What do you think is the most toxic room in people's homes by way of housing the most or highest levels of harsh chemicals? Is it under the sink? Is it the medicine cabinet? Is it that relaxing candle we always light at the end of the day on our nightstand to help us relax and slip into sleep? Basically, where should they go that's going to have the greatest impact on their health and their life in their home first?
That's a great question. It's so hard to pick just one thing. I would say anything that has fragrance, get rid of that immediately, whether that's a candle in your bedroom. Bedroom for sure is so important. I mean, it's where you sleep. Like so many important detoxification and rejuvenation processes happen while we sleep.
Even the quote all natural soy blend candles. Like if it has a smell, get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Yeah. Well, we do make candles with essential oils that are great, and they're beeswax candles, which actually helps to purify the air. So there's a handful. We make them. There's a handful of brands that make those, but anything with fragrance, anything that says fragrance, parfum, get rid of it.
Okay. So not necessarily if it has a smell, but especially if it has a smell and says fragrance, parfum.
Yeah.
Then
and if it doesn't say, inquire, reach out.
Okay.
They should list the ingredients. They should provide information on that. But I mean, it's pretty rare to find companies that will do that. It's way more expensive. Like the essential oil blends that we put into our candles are pricey. If you want to put enough of it to like still give that soothing aromatic experience.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of the majority of candles out there are going to be really problematic. I would say like the bedroom, if you could make the bedroom a sanctuary, like focus on that. And that also kind of includes the bathroom because the master bathroom is like by the bedroom. And so you don't want a bunch of toxic cleaning products or skincare products in the bathroom that's next to the place where you sleep because that is going to negatively impact the air quality.
Yeah.
And if you could have like amazing air quality in your bedroom, at least, that's going to be a huge first step. Yeah,
we recently added air purifiers into our home. And that's another one of those areas where you don't really realize what's going on. Because you can't, maybe if it's that bad, but you can't really walk around your home and go, oh, pollutant, oh, harsh chemical, oh, mold. But adding air purifiers, and especially when we cook and they kick on, and when like the vents are on or like certain sprays or things are used and like they just randomly kick in overdrive, like, oh, wow, like this stuff actually really matters a lot more. There's a lot more going on around us that we didn't realize.
Yes.
Now we can see it and hear it actually thanks to the air purifiers.
I know. I love that. Mine do that too. And it's like satisfying. So you're like, oh yeah. It's working.
Yeah.
I can actually tell it's making a difference. Air purifiers are a great investment if you can afford to do that. People can also use a box fan with a filter, and the filter, just like a basic air conditioning filter, it will like suction to the back of the box fan. If you're on a budget, it is a great hack because the box fan will pull in the air and pull in toxins, and then the filter eliminates them. I've actually done this.
That's so smart. That's genius.
I've done this like during remodels.
Yeah.
Because we've had kind of an ongoing remodel situation in our house, and I just wanted to see like, okay, does this work? And so I set one up in an area that had just a lot of air particulates because it was being like demoed. And oh my gosh, like the filter got dirty so quickly because it actually like it pulls the toxins through there and it traps them. So yeah, that's a good hack for anyone who might be on a budget. It's
one thing to hear it and see an air purifier in action, but man, when you pull the filter out and you're like, wow, I used to be breathing this kind of stuff.
Totally.
I have this brand Jasper I use in the kitchen.
I use Jasper too. I love Jasper.
And it's so good. And I have this joke now. I'm like, whenever I'm cooking, I'm like, what's going to anger Jasper today?
You know? Oh my gosh. My husband and I joke about that.
Distressed Jasper. For some reason, Jasper has this like deep South old school accent. But I'm like, okay, butter and cast iron, Jasper hates. Hates it. Yeah.
That's so funny. That's a joke in our house too, because I always set the Jasper off because I'm like the impatient person that like cooks things high and like sets
I'm like,
off
honey,
a bunch
you
of
have
smoke.
angered Jasper. But
that is the best one, though.
It makes a big difference. Really good. It really is. And actually, I think it's a funny point if you go back to like where it is in your home. To your point, I've heard you talk about this before of like, you're really trying to get people, because this is what worked well for you in your wellness journey, your own healing journey, of if it's too much to wrap your head around like the products or the things that you're using, go to the experiences, the rituals, the parts of your day. And how many of us go through our day, whether it's, I think usually first thing in the morning or in the evening, we're trying to get jump started, get the day going, get energized, and or, reverse. We're trying to like calm down, wind down, and like take care of our minds and our bodies and just relax and slip into sleep. When those are usually the areas where we might be integrating more harm than good. Chemicals in the air, chemicals in the shower, shampoos, lotions, soaps, moisturizers, face wash, all of these things that, not to discourage anybody from self-care, it's super important, but like it's just kind of ironic, I guess, when you're trying to do the best you can, and we all are trying out here. We're all trying to take care of ourselves and make right choices. But, just really put another layer on, put another lens on really of what are you doing? Are you potentially doing more harm than good, or one step forward, two steps back kind of thing?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never thought about it like that, because those moments are so important, like how we start our day, how we end our day.
The most important.
So important. Just like setting our nervous system up for success. I love to encourage people because, yes, it can be a lot. It can be really overwhelming thinking about all of the toxic exposures and where to start. And I know some people just get overwhelmed and just ignore it altogether. And like, that's not what we want to do. Like every change we make is going to make a difference in some way. And so whatever pace is right for you, just like being on that journey, I think is important. But in terms of like how we start our day, how we end our day, I think there's one thing that a lot of people don't take advantage of, and that's getting outside. Like the more we can be outside, I mean, there are infinite benefits to being outdoors. When you think about the sunlight, like getting that sunshine in the early morning and how that impacts our circadian rhythm and our hormones and stimulates the awakening hormones that we need to function well throughout the day, and then setting our bodies up to then be ready to go to sleep. And for those sleep hormones like melatonin to kick in once it's nighttime, like that cycle starts when you wake up. And if we can like go outside and experience sunlight before we pick up a device and get like way too much blue light at the wrong time of the day, and then also the EMFs and like the stimulation that comes from that. Like if we can go outside and just breathe in fresh air, get sunlight, maybe even take your shoes off and ground a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And then same thing at the end of the day. Like that's one thing I've been trying to focus on a lot. It's just like getting outdoors and having like starting the day, ending the day with as much time outside as possible.
Yeah, that's a great point. Even maybe here's like the freest hack of all, maybe instead of freaking out and throwing all your products out, and causing even more stress, maybe just integrate more outdoor time.
Yeah. And open windows.
Yeah. Open windows do wonders. Yeah. Which actually leads me to my next question. So where does it start? If we want to begin to educate ourselves, where do we begin? And also like, does it ever end? If we go down this rabbit hole, how can we become more educated? How can we become a more educated consumer to the potentially dangerous and even toxic chemicals without causing serious new forms of anxiety and stress about everything that we're going to find out?
Right. I know. I mean, it's like once you start down the rabbit hole, you just realize how backwards everything is that we are being marketed and being sold and told, that it can start to feel like it can be really stressful when you're like on that journey. I think I would just encourage people to feel like empowered by that awareness rather than stressed out by it. I know it's like a fine line, but I think what's encouraging is just not having the mindset that you have to do everything at once. Like you don't. I mean, the body is amazing. Like the body is designed to heal and detoxify from so much. And you've been, if you've been on like using standard American products and eating a standard American diet all your life, like once you just changing your diet or eliminating a few things from your diet will already like you'll already be taking a step forward in a better direction.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, I think a lot of people start with diet too. I know that's where I started out. And you start to like experience the benefits of feeling better from that. And then it becomes exciting too.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. Like
Most
okay,
people don't know what good feels like.
no, yeah. And it's like once you do, it just becomes kind of fun. I mean, and yeah, there's moments of feeling discouraged. Like I still have, I'm not completely 100% non-toxic in my life. Like I strive for that. But then just several months ago, I found out about non-toxic toilet paper. I had never thought about toilet paper and whether or not toilet paper was toxic before.
Wait, what? I need to worry about the toilet paper
You
I'm
do,
using?
yes.
Come
Because
on.
it has bleach, it has forever chemicals like Charmin, all of them in name brands they're terrible. And you're putting these in such absorptive areas that are
What?
impacting reproductive organs and yeah, toilet paper.
So just something we used to just do a quick wipe, maybe a few times, but toilet paper is actually an area of focus.
Yeah, I know. That was like in the last 6 months, another thing that I shifted. But it's always something, you know? It's like,
Jeez.
I'm sure
That's the
there's
point.
something
Yeah,
else
it's always
like
something.
6
So-
months from now that I'm going to find out. And yeah, it's a constant journey just because of the world that we live in. But I think the good news is that there are a lot of free things that people can do. And I would look to the outdoors for a lot of those free things and just managing stress levels and paying attention to sleep and eating whole foods. Like there's a lot that we can do and that we have a say in.
I'm so glad you bring up this aspect of feeling. I'm a big fan of quantitative, what we can measure, we can manage, right? I'm a wearable guy,
Yeah.
trackers galore. But also I think it's equally important, if not even more important at the end, to really just be able to learn how to listen to your body. And it will tell you everything you need to, 99% of what you need to know of what good feels like.
Yeah.
So besides a feeling of assurance when we make these swaps and we bring awareness into what am I putting on and in my body, because I do believe peace of mind is truly invaluable. What are practical ways you have found of measuring progress or even, quote, becoming healthier?
Yeah. I think like tuning into how I feel is the main one. Growing up and throughout like most of my life, there were a lot of things that I dealt with that didn't completely like take me down from like a health perspective, but just things that I had accepted as just part of being human, like feeling sluggish or even like the acne that I struggled with. I at one point asked my dermatologist, like, what else can I be doing besides taking these pills and creams that you're prescribing me? Like, is there something I could change about my diet? And she just said, no. Like, this is genetic. There's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is take these pills, use these creams.
Time to find a new dermatologist.
For sure. For sure. And to think that is still a common response among dermatologists. I mean, I just went through this acne journey with my assistant and she was being told all the same stuff that I was 20 years ago. So still the status quo out there. So I think just like when you have those inklings of like, no, something's missing here. Like there's something more to this. And even if like your doctor disagrees with you or whatever, like pay attention to that. That's so important. And yeah, I think wearables are great too. I used to do wearables and then I started having kids and I felt like I was getting discouraged by some of the metrics because I couldn't control
As a
certain
new dad,
variables.
I know exactly what you're talking about now. I have not, other than just like seeing it pop up, I have not logged anything on my Whoop every day.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like bothering me because where do I even begin?
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
Chase, why is your HRV, 40% low? Why is your sleep crap? Well, newborn life.
I know. I know. I could get back into it now. I think I'm a little scarred of like, I know this metric is bad.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
But I think there's a place for them for sure. And I think they're useful. I think like finding a good functional medicine doctor, if you're able to, and like getting blood work and testing, test, don't guess, I think all of that stuff has a place and can be helpful. And I think there's like more awareness and also resources out there for that kind of stuff now.
I think a really important test people should lean into if they're trying to really grab hold of this toxic home aspect is get a mold test.
Yeah.
We did one and I was shocked. It was very, very, it was
Which
kind of
one
like.
did you do?
I could tell
Was
you
it the
actually.
Army?
I think so. I had
did the
a
Army.
shout out Dr. Marisa Snyder. She sent me.
Oh, I want to know what your number was.
She
if you
sent
did the
me.
Army.
She's like, get these, because she went through something very similar. She sent me these tests. Let me go back. It was the. Oh no. Please hold, everyone. Please hold.
We had a really gnarly toxic mold experience.
The mycotox was the ERMI mold test.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
What was your number?
I don't remember the number, but I just remember seeing red across the board everywhere. And she was like, "Oh yeah, this is really bad." It was kind of one of those things I knew was going to happen because we had under the sink issues with like flooding and pipe bursting and kind of changing everything out and just never really quite getting 100% replaced. So. Yeah, that was kind of scary, cleaned a lot of things up. And then honestly, I noticed a big difference once we got the air purifiers in the house as well.
Yeah.
In the kitchen and then a few others all throughout.
Yeah, those are huge. And yeah, Jasper's amazing
Yeah.
for removing mold. We moved into the house that we are in now. We're actually not living in it. We're renting it because we're remodeling. But we moved into it 3 years ago, lived in it for a year. And we just started getting like taken down by colds and stuff like more than normal.
Yes.
And
yes.
I had my 8-year-old, she was 6 or something at the time, kept getting bloody noses. So I just thought like, okay, something's not right. Like we did the standard mold inspection when you move into a new house, which is like very baseline.
So service level.
Yeah.
Like literally
means
service
nothing.
level.
Like don't even,
Yeah.
just disregard it.
Yeah.
And it was, that came back fine, but then we did the ERMI and it came back at a 26, which is supposed to be like under a 5. And so we were told like, SOS, get out now. Like, don't sleep in there another night, basically. We moved into my in-laws' house for a few months. We pitched a canvas tent in our backyard. We lived outside in a tent.
No way.
We did. It was crazy. And my son...
That's like so on brand now for you guys a little bit, but like, wow.
It was wild, but it was actually like really cool.
Yeah. It's like so like Yellowstone-y.
Yeah. I just had a baby. And so it was like my husband...
You're out there in the tent with your newborn?
Our 2 girls and our newborn. He was like 4 or 5 months old when we did that. The weather was like, it was cold. It was like in the 30s, 40s at night. Wow. We're in California, Southern California. And so, yeah, it was like during the winter time, it was cold. We were using like those those like warming packs that you put into your socks. We had this whole routine. Like I would get the kids like bundled up in like sweatpants, socks, beanies, like foot warmers. And we would all like get into we put beds in the tent. We'd like get into our beds, our sleeping bags. It was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like it totally
really
brought us closer. We'll always remember that time when we lived in a tent. And
You're
then
like, God bless the moldy house.
Yeah. And then we traveled all summer and came back and we moved into our guest house because we were working on remodeling that first. It's been a whole journey. But the cool thing was that we were like given a lot of kind of intense detox protocols to do. We actually didn't do them, not because we like didn't want to, but just because, I don't know, our lives just felt really chaotic with the tent and then traveling. And while we were living in the tent, traveling all summer, we did this road trip across the US. We were staying at a lot of campgrounds, staying at these under canvas campgrounds, which are like really cool.
Oh, wow.
Like glamping kind of places. Not doing any like intense detox stuff, but just focusing on the basics, on like regulating our circadian rhythm, which helps to support your hormones, which helps with detoxification. We were grounding, which we were getting all the negative ions from the earth that are so healing. Focusing on eating like healthy foods and drinking plenty of water, like just basic stuff. And I feel like we all felt like 100% better by the end of all of that. So it's like, there's a lot of cool biohacks out there, which I love. Like I'm such a biohacker. We even like have a biohacking garage set up and it's great. But like also there's so much that people can do for free and you don't always have to overcomplicate it.
You hit on a key term there. I think oftentimes goes overlooked because people, I think, quickly dismiss it, and that's grounding.
Yeah.
There's something to it that, do you know Darren Aline?
Mm-mm.
Okay. He kind of turned me on to this aspect. Well, Sean Stevenson, actually, I heard it for the first time years ago on the Model Health Show about grounding. And it kind of like, I kind of put it in the back of my mind. But Darren, seeing him do it, and especially through the lens of helping reset circadian rhythm when traveling internationally, really got me curious. And so I began to practice it whenever I would travel international, even like from West Coast to East Coast, 3-hour time difference. I'm just immediately getting feet on the ground as soon as possible when you get into your new landing area time zone. But also, I was telling you before, my wife and I were going to Joshua Tree in a few weeks, and we go to the desert. We go to Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, at least once a year. This will actually be our second time this year, and there's just something about getting into a completely different natural environment, getting barefoot on the ground that just it's a complete reset. And I don't think anybody will ever really understand it until you actually do it. It sounds so hocus pocus and made up, but it is just like I feel
it's real.
I feel exactly like what's happening. And it's this actually is measurable, like the ion
There's
transfer.
There's scans where you see inflammation prior to grounding and then it goes away when someone is grounded.
My nervous system, our nervous systems, like we go out there now, especially with a kid, we're so excited because it's just like, even just getting close to that environment, we just feel such a reset in my nervous system. It just goes from like wired to relaxed in minutes.
I think there are healing properties built into the earth that we just can't even, that we just are only beginning to scratch the surface of what they actually are. I mean, like think about anyone spent a day at the beach, like how much better do you feel after you've spent a day with your feet in the sand, getting salt water,
which
getting
is grounding,
sunlight.
by the way.
Yes, exactly.
That's grounding.
Exactly. Like, and I completely resonate with what you said about like Joshua Tree and getting out in nature. That's what we did that summer. We were at campgrounds. We were like separated from technology and devices. I mean, to an extent, but it's amazing. I was even thinking the other day, like I was outside in the morning drinking coffee and just kind of like sitting there and being still and just like listening to the birds chirp. And I'm like, man, I wonder what frequencies like the birds have in their chirping that are like healing for like appropriate for that time of day.
Is a new biohack now, right?
No, I
didn't.
Have you
heard of this? Bird song. Look, I promise now, like you're Big Brother's gonna be listening on your phone. Bird song is like the new biohack. It's all these people are talking about it, and it's like, I mean, it makes sense. It all is true. What we're really talking about here is like, how do you get birdsong? You go out in nature.
What's the other way? What are people saying to do?
Well, they're just talking about the frequency of birdsong, like their chirp and certain birds and like their tonality. So it has a certain frequency that I didn't know this was a thing, but that's what I was thinking about. It's a thing.
There has to be something to this. Like
birdsong for nervous system regulation is a thing.
Wow.
It's like the new biohack.
Interesting. But, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, we're getting granular here. But it's just a point that you can measure a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But you don't have to in order to get the benefit, because what we're really talking about are just simple, fundamental things that if you really think about it, it just makes sense.
Yep.
Like it makes sense that a human should feel great being outdoors as often as possible, getting sunlight, grounding, going to bed with the sun, rising with the sun.
Yep.
Great natural water and community all at the same time. And then, we can like slice it up and look at, okay, the vitamin D and the cholesterase and like circadian rhythm and the suprachiasmatic nucleus and like all the hormones and all the things that happen. But like, we don't need to. You can, kind of going back to my earlier question of where does all this end? We go down the rabbit hole. It's just to what level do you want to become educated? What level do you want to become empowered? And what level, of really what standard do you want for your life and for your family?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like season of life too. Like what is possible for you in this season?
Exactly.
And then what's not. And just like, there's time for everything. Like, so if things like feel like too much right now, just like put those things on a shelf for now and focus on the basics. Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. Kind of getting towards the end here, I want to kind of just highlight a little bit more. You've touched on it already of your story. And I'm always fascinated by anyone who takes a trial and a tribulation or a life learning lesson, and they come out on the other side. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I say, we live a life ever forward. All my guests kind of embody that philosophy. But you took it a step further. And so you kind of took back your power and took back your health, but then you created something to help others to hopefully thwart that entirely or just kind of get out of a less than ideal health situation. So where did all this begin for you, and how did you turn your obstacle into this thriving business now that is Primally Pure?
Yeah, I never set out to create a business. It was really just a passion. I started making these products out of my own passion because of the journey that I had gone through with acne, which started in junior high and high school. And I mentioned a little bit of it already, but I went the conventional route. I didn't know how to, information wasn't as accessible back then. I didn't really know how to dig deeper, and I was also young. But then once things started clicking, like when my husband had started this regenerative livestock farm with his dad and brothers, and that opened my eyes to a new way of eating that really made me feel a lot better and improved the health of my skin. I was able to stop using all of the prescription like pills and creams that I had been using. I was on antibiotics. I was on birth control for acne. All of this stuff that ultimately did my body more harm than good. Like some of it maybe offered a temporary fix,
You're
but
trading
none
one
of
evil
it,
for another usually.
yeah, none of it got to the root cause and actually worsened my health long term. But once I kind of became aware of the food stuff, I looked into personal care and skincare products, and then deodorant was like red flags. Like once I learned about that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been using this. And I started formulating my own, and I wanted my husband to use it. He was
That was the first product, right?
That was the first product. Yeah. He thought that was really weird because it wasn't a stick form. It was like a little like jar of stuff. And I was like,
oh, I've tried this before. Natural deodorant. Yeah. It's like you put it on your finger and kind of rub it in.
Yeah. And it works,
different.
but it's like, he was like, no, I don't want to do that. So I just took it upon myself to create a stick natural deodorant that actually worked, because there were some natural ones back then, but I didn't think any of them worked very well. And so I wanted to create one that worked. And finally, when I had a formula that I loved and that he was using and liked, I was like, okay, maybe more people would be interested in this. Yeah. And so I started selling on my family farm's website, Primal Pastures. And the Primal Pastures customers like started really taking to it. And so for a while I was working with them, and then I was like, man, this is like becoming its own thing almost. It was kind of, I did it kind of as a part of the farm, a complement to the farm. And then it just seemed like it was kind of taking off on its own. And so in 2015, I launched Primally Pure as its own business, and just got really like excited by the positive reviews and the feedback from the people that were using the products.
And probably some incredible transformations, right?
Yeah,
probably
totally.
Hearing a lot of similar stories as your own.
Yeah, exactly. And by that point, like I had other products too. I had a cleansing oil, which cleansing oil was huge for me, helps my skin a lot to balance it out, because growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, we were told that oil is bad for the skin, and we were sold like products that really stripped the skin of all of its oil, which then caused it to overproduce
Dried
oil.
it out like crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
I went through that same boat.
Yeah, it was such a mess. And so I found that oil cleansing, which if anyone isn't familiar with the oil cleansing method, it's the idea of massaging oil into your skin. And it's based on the premise that like dissolves like. So you massage oil into your skin in order to clean it, and then you wipe it off with a warm washcloth, and it kind of pulls out the impurities in your skin, and then but without stripping it. So it's washing it, cleansing it without stripping the skin. So anyways, these products were huge for me. And then to see that other people were enjoying them and benefiting from them in the same way that I had was really encouraging and really fueled me to keep moving forward. I didn't have any business experience at the time, didn't have any funding to start the company with. So really just grew it from a initial $250 order of ingredients and supplies that I then made products with, and then it grew super slowly, naturally, organically. Still haven't taken on any outside funding.
When did it really kind of take off for you? So it kind of really started selling in 2015.
Yeah.
When did you go, it's becoming a thing?
It was probably, I was forced to start really looking at it as more of a business and less of a hobby about a year later, when I was nearing the due date of my oldest daughter. And I was like, okay, do I kind of shut this? Because it was just me at the time. I had a few part-time employees, but I was doing everything out of my house. And it was a hobby. I wasn't making money. I mean, the business was doing okay.
Creating revenue.
But but it wasn't I was still doing it myself, and it was more of a passion project. And then when I was getting closer to her due date, I was like, man, I don't really want people in and out of the house and in our kitchen making products as I'm trying to figure out how to be a new mom. And do I just like put this on pause, or do I take a big risk, like financial risk, and hire someone full time and move the business into its own office warehouse space, just trust that it'll work? So I wrestled with that for a while and ultimately decided to take that leap. And that was really a turning point in a lot of ways. It showed me that the business could still grow and be successful in my absence and without me being hyper involved in every area.
So you did. So you brought somebody on to kind of run it.
I hired someone on full time and trained her to do I was doing customer service. I was making the products. I was shipping the products. So I just trained her to do all the things that I was doing. Yeah. And certain things had to be paused because some of the marketing and the relationships with influencers, I kind of owned those things, and some of it was just paused for a little while, which was fine. But yeah, it taught me a lot in terms of like letting go of things and just seeing the business differently and realizing that I didn't have to do everything, and realizing like how much potential there is when you do offload things and trust people that are like more equipped than you in certain areas.
Yeah.
And I feel like with every child, I've had to do that a little bit, like let go of something. And the business has like benefited from that. And I have too in my personal life. So that was like the first kind of big moment. And then, I mean, the last few years, we've seen a lot of just exponential growth, because from the beginning, like I've mentioned a few times, I've always been so passionate about the education and not just like trying to sell products, but really trying to like help people heal from the inside out and the outside in. And so we've always been like really big on just providing information for people on not only how to use our products, but how to like live a healthy lifestyle in general. And to see now some of these concepts and like ancestral living conversations really take off has just been like so exciting.
And I really want to give you guys some kudos here. I was looking more at the brand side of things. And you have not only, like you said, a lot of great products with a lot of truly clean ingredients. I love, being able to look at everything, just see exactly what it is and is not. A lot of education, but I was really impressed at your panel at Primally Pure. You've got rows of experts, and actually shout out Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. I know I personally know her, and I know that she does not and would never attach her name to anything that is, one, not out of integrity, but two, just like if it doesn't actually move the needle for someone's health, and has a lot of due diligence behind it. So that really stood out to me. And someone new to my kind of content consumption that I would love to get on the show sometime is Dr. Yvonne Burkhart, just really diving into just like the real true nitty gritty of toxic chemicals in the home and in the air, even getting into things like endocrine system disruptors and fertility. Really reminded me a lot. The more I'm understanding a lot of her work, reminds me a lot of Dr. I'm drawing a blank right now. She wrote Countdown. Shauna Swan, I think it is. Just one of the first people I ever read or heard anything about microplastics and chemicals getting into a lot of products, things that we're eating, and just microplastics being found in uteruses and in brains and in umbilical cords, and just the rapid decline of fertility health because of it, and even influencing things like disordered eating and eating disorders, like this multi-generational trauma, if you will, from people, stemming a lot of it from the things that we're eating and products we're consuming. So I just, I say all that just to kind of like give you all kudos to that to me stands out tremendously as a brand, because I know it doesn't come without time, doesn't come without resources or finances. And most brands, most people, most things don't need to do that. I mean, look, is there a board of advisors like that with Windex or Clorox or, Pine Sol?
Right.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, that was something that it was really fun for us to put together and connect with these experts who we have always been big fans of, and then to develop relationships with them and have them like share their insights with our community on a regular basis has been like really cool.
I'm just waiting for, I'm sure, is there going to be a Gabrielle product collab where it's like a moisturizer, but also protein powder?
Right.
Something like it's,
2 in 1.
Yeah. It's like a deodorant /, collagen or something. I don't know.
I should run that by her.
So I got to ask, kind of getting towards the end before my last question, what is next, do you think? What's on the horizon for this clean living movement, this kind of this holistic lifestyle that you see with Primally Pure, yourself, and just like collectively us? What's on the horizon that you are most excited for?
Oh man, it is such a fun time to be alive, really. Like when there's so much more information and awareness about the food we're eating, the products we're using, like these things that I feel like we have been passionate about for so long are starting to infiltrate the mainstream. And like people are asking me questions about things that I never would have thought like would be interested in this stuff.
Like what?
I don't know. Like people, like I'm just thinking of like friends from church that have been like, oh, I listened to that podcast episode and like, I didn't know that. Tell me more about that. I don't know. It's just like,
but also make sure, did you subscribe? Did
you leave a review?
Yeah.
No, it's really cool. Like it's just proof that, and overhearing conversations even about people like in the airport talking about seed oils or whatever. It's like people are really becoming aware of this stuff. And I think like we're starting to see companies respond to that and changing things, which is proof that like going back to what we talked about in the beginning, like we have such a say, like our purchases, where we spend our dollars, like the companies that are like making a lot of these products and foods, and they will respond to like what the consumers want. And so, yeah, I think that whole conversation is just, it's so exciting. Like I'm really excited for what's on the horizon and just to be a part of it. I think people are kind of realizing that we have been like sold a lot of lies when it comes to
literally sold.
Lies,
Yeah.
Yeah. From every level, from, you know, the companies that are marketing to us, from well-intentioned doctors that are giving us bad advice, like on so many levels. And I think people are going back to trusting their intuition and going back to ancestral practices that have stood the test of time. I think it's only the beginning, and I'm really excited for what's next.
Yeah, me too. Likewise. And I got to say, my wife wanted to tell you that she loves anything you all do with coffee, like the scrub, the coffee scrub, the coffee mask. Like she loves.
That's awesome.
And tonight, like I said, is bath night with us and Dean. So I'm excited to try out the baby line for the first time. Thank you guys.
Give them
again.
a good massage with the baby oil.
It's going to be the best.
So sweet.
My last question I ask everybody is, you know, I kind of already stated it earlier, but I bring people on to the show that embody my way of living, my philosophy, this mantra that my father passed down to me years ago. You live a life ever forward. You have decided to not let your obstacle stop you, but rather become the way forward. So those two words, Bethany, ever forward, what do they mean to you? If I were to say, Bethany, how do you live a life ever forward? What does that mean to you?
I love that. I think for me, that means willing to like take that next step of faith, whether that's in my business, as a mom, as a wife, like doing the best I can in every moment, in every situation, and not being afraid to like be imperfect and fail, because there's so much learning and growth that has come from every failure. I mean, I look back on the last 10 years in business, 10 plus years in business, and I've made so many mistakes. And I think a lot of people like think about that at the forefront of like the fear of making mistakes and of failing publicly, and that like will impact their decision to move forward. But it's like just accepting that that's a reality of life and that's a reality of progress. Like failure is going to happen. And I think whether we let that like push us down or whether we decide to take away what we can learn from that and then like move forward in a better way is a differentiator of like the course of your life. And so
100%.
Yeah. I think just not being afraid to live imperfectly and learn from those failures and imperfections.
What do they say? Fail fast and fail forward, right?
Oh, that's good.
Fail fast and fail forward. Yeah, I get very excited now as a business owner when I hear about a problem or when something went wrong. Quite literally yesterday, I had a phone call with one of my studio engineers in our West Hollywood studio. There was an issue with, they swapped out a Bluetooth microphone instead of these wired ones for something. And I was like, oh, like what happened? Like, okay, how did you problem solve? Like, what did you do? Like, how did you figure out? How did you solve the problem? What exactly did you do?
Yeah.
Describe the fiasco, and then just like, let's just learn from it.
Yeah.
Actually, I should call her back. It probably sounded a little weird. I'm recalling the conversation. I was like overly excited about this issue, and she was nervous about like, oh, I don't know if the client was happy. But as a business owner,
you just start to learn. It's all an
Yeah.
opportunity. Like everything is an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel like crushed by these problems. I remember in the beginning,
So
I would
easy.
be like cry over problems. I'm like, it's nothing is that big of a deal at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, quite literally. If you ever want to just think about it, just imagine, we're a tiny little speck on a rock spinning 1,000 miles an hour in infinite nothingness. So literally nothing matters. But, but not to get too esoteric, but Bethany, where can my audience go to connect with you and learn more about your journey and all of your amazing content and what Primally Pure is putting out into the world?
Yeah, our website is primallypure.com. We're Primally Pure on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Bethany J. McDaniel. And then our podcast is called Grounded Wellness.
Yeah. So it was great having you on, and I'm excited to have you on this show. And I always love having podcasters on because I feel like they make for the best guests. They're a little bit more understanding of the whole situation.
Yeah. I'm new to the world of podcasting. So
Yeah.
I already like, I
You've
feel
got a couple dozen
different.
out, I saw.
Yeah. it still feels new to me, but I've noticed that it's more fun for me now going on podcasts because I'm like, oh, I know what it's like to be in your shoes. And it's just, I don't know, it's just more fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of fun. And I'm here to tell you, 8 years in, I still have just as much fun doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. This was fantastic.